Hey, what's going on everyone? Jason for Collected here. Long time again for another video. I seem to be making a habit of actually saying that before every single video I make. That's because I am literally the worst YouTuber on YouTube. I'm probably sure of that. Lacking on content, but man, I got to talk about Tears of the Crom Damn Kingdom. I just gotta talk about it. So yeah. Obviously, we saw the latest trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, and I mean, for me, I've watched it so many times already. I'm going to say, I don't think a lot of people are brave enough to say this, but I'm going to say that I actually found it as hype, if not more hype, considering its content as well, based off what we've already seen with Breath of the Wild. I consider it more hype than that 2017 Breath of the Wild trailer we had. And me saying that, I have said a number of times that I consider that trailer, for me personally, to be the greatest video game trailer of all time, or at least my personal favorite game trailer of all time, because Zelda is my favorite franchise out there without a doubt. And to see this series growing like this, it's going to be the foundation of this topic, as well as some theories I've had as well for Tears of the Kingdom. But to get into the meat of this discussion, we are seeing something that we have never had with the Zelda series before. We've kind of had it with Metroid, but in terms of with Zelda, we've never really had this. And this is a continued focus of characters, continuing a story through multiple games. And we have to remember that this whole Zelda universe that we have right now on the Nintendo Switch, or if you want to carry over from Wii, on the Nintendo Switch, we've had Breath of the Wild, we've had Hyrule Warriors, The Age of Calamity, and now we're getting Tears of the Kingdom. This is essentially a trilogy of the same universe, the same characters. We got a prequel, we had a current, and now we're having a sequel slightly into the future. And for me, I'm finding this absolutely intoxicating. And I think it's why it's adding to my hype for Tears of the Kingdom, because a lot of people moaned about the story of Breath of the Wild. I think sometimes when story isn't thrown into your face, or even as an adult, or as a child, or adolescent, whatever, sometimes you might not look into what characters are trying to convey or are conveying. And I felt that the story for Breath of the Wild was the best Zelda story we've ever had. I love the story of the Wind Waker as well, but with this one, this really was a struggle of characters and them building up from this world, knowing what's coming and trying to secure a future through a number of trials. And you saw there was so many characters. I just loved it, and how Nintendo brought about these characters, animation wise, voice acting wise. We've just never had it like this with Zelda before. So rolling into Tears of the Kingdom, seeing these returning characters slightly older and still pushing for this future, and seeing these returning characters, I mean, for me, this is what's adding to how have I already got nostalgia, for Breath of the Wild. And when I mean Breath of the Wild, I mean for these characters. We saw Sidon, and we saw. I just mentioned Sidon here. We saw Riju. We're seeing these characters come back. Link, Zelda, and of course Ganon, who I'm going to get into in a little bit. But we're seeing these characters now coming back, and it's just, when have we had this? I'm trying to think, and I got pretty much every Zelda game in my head. We've never had this. We've had the twinklings of sequels, whether it's directly with Majora's Mask following that Link, not necessarily anyone else from that Hyrule and Ocarina of Time. We kind of always knew that Link's Awakening was a sequel to Link to the Past. We had Link Between Worlds, which was a Zelda game that actually reused a Link to the Past world. So I had that nostalgia for that world going back into it. That was amazing. But really continuing this level of story and these characters directly, yeah, we've just never had this before, and I find that so appealing and so exciting. It doesn't have to happen all the time with every Zelda game, but I mean, Breath of the Wild is my new favorite game ever. That whole experience was just staggering, absolutely staggering, and I think for many people that has continued all the way up to now, because we still play it, and you still see people playing it and discovering things that they can do in this world. And for Tears of the Kingdom to build upon that world, add this sky system, add all these new moves that we've seen, whether it's him jumping into bubbles or like almost like moon jumping across platforms in the sky, which just blew my mind. I just all the fuse abilities, it's just and this trailer, I still get goosebumps every single time I watch it. Still get goosebumps every single time I watch it. And that music, my God, when you see like these new characters coming in, and that's that Zelda theme, man. Oh. Just unrivaled, just unparalleled. And being on YouTube, being in the Twitter streets, you saw the doubt on the Zelda team to be able to deliver. People calling this overpriced DLC. Just that doubt. I think, where did the doubt come from? Did it come from what Breath of the Wild was? It could have been, because Breath of the Wild was and still is phenomenal. Where did it come from? Does it come from some of the hate that we push towards Nintendo sometimes, with their sports games and stuff, not packing in enough content and stuff. I think it's just another reminder when Nintendo are on their A game, there's hardly any time that they don't deliver. And when they first announced this Tears of the Kingdom coming, they said this is the sequel to Breath of the Wild is now in development. They made sure to call it a sequel. And for us, I say for us, it wasn't me. For some people then to go into the mindset that this is just going to be DLC, just because of some of the stuff that they teased wasn't too substantial for them. You can blame Nintendo for their marketing, but at the same time, it's clearly worked, because this new trailer has come out now, a final trailer before the game launches. The final trailer before the game launches. I'm sure we'll get another, launch trailer, which will blow our minds, even more. I won't watch it now. I said to myself I was going to watch it, but this is the last trailer because we're a month away. But to doubt a sequel, that Nintendo couldn't deliver a sequel on the foundation of this game, and then for what we've seen, there's elements that you think you'll go back to Breath of the Wild and think, God, this is so basic. I won't think that, but this is what happens when, you build upon greatness, and when you get it right, Nintendo get it right. I can't wait for it. But what I also want to talk about is something that I actually spoke about 3 years ago. I started doing this little series on my channel, these little video game stories that I like to do. The first one I done was based on the sequel to Breath of the Wild 3 years ago. Didn't know what it was going to be about, so just made up a story. Another one I done was on Metro Prime 4, a story that I'd like to see in Metro Prime 4. But funny enough, today Nintendo dropped another piece of artwork of Ganon, and he's standing there with a sword. I'll have it up on the screen for you because I just chatted away on the microphone here. He's standing there with his sword. And before this, even when I was watching I've watched the trailer so many times, people screaming, in this one moment, that's demise, where you see this fiery red hair and then you see Ganon later on. And Nintendo, I've noticed, especially with, at least with the Zelda trailers, the way they PC things together, they can be, it's when we're always watching these trailers, trying to theorize, how these moments of the trailer in order, kind of like what we've done with the first reveal trailer for Breath of the Wild, when underneath the cave, and people trying to piece together the exact order and all these events that happens. I think Nintendo have become pretty good at throwing us, false hooks in terms of the order of what's going on, and I do kind of feel that that character is demised, or certainly a different villain to Ganon. I feel like he is this character that we see with the fiery red hair that they don't clearly show is the main villain. Whether it's demise or not, I don't know. I mean, it'd be pretty bold of Nintendo to show demise like that. Demise is such, at least from Skyward Sword, he's such an important character, and we never really see him until the end of the game when they really show him off. He's, at the end of the day, canon wise, they have pitted Demise as the opposite to Hylia. He is the main evil behind everything. He's the one who has cursed essentially Link, Zelda, and Ganon, their timelines. And this is what falls into my story that I done 3 years ago.
Slave to a power that was not given to me, but instead forced upon me.
I loved Ganon in The Wind Waker. He was so poetic in his struggles of why he covets, why he wants to Triforce, and why he has a hatred towards Hyrule. But I always had this idea where that I'd done in this story 3 years ago, that Ganon wants to get rid of Demise. This was my story idea. He wants to get rid of this curse on him and forge his own destiny. So when I saw this new artwork now, thinking of my video that I already done, seeing that fiery red hair character, and then that separate instance where you actually see Ganon, where he actually does look different from that fiery character. I looked at this artwork, this new artwork, Ganon standing there, his dialogue saying you're about to witness the rise of a king, and then he powers himself up like Rah!
Do not look away. You witness a king's revival and the birth of his new world.
And I'm like, man. One, is Ganon going to be playable? 2, will he team up with you? 3, is he really the main bad guy in this? And 4, will he be fighting Demise to free himself of Demise, to free himself of that malice which has corrupted Ganon, which we learned about from Skyward Sword? He is cursed by Demise. His that evil will always follow Link and Zelda. Is Ganon finally looking for a way to has he come back and he said, right, I'm still a bad guy, I still want the Triforce, but we need to get rid of Demise. And I wonder if we're seeing Demise as standing in the Blood Moon, that pure evil, and Ganon, that moment when he powers up, is a completely separate moment where he's getting ready to take on Demise. And could you imagine that? Could you just imagine that evolution of the Zelda story? These characters, we haven't seen Ganon since Ganondorf since Twilight Princess, man. It gets me so excited to think if we had this. And then another character that we see that, whether it's an elf lady, or we always know that Zelda is meant to be the personification of Hylia. Can you imagine these forces? And this is something I say in the story where Ganon wants to essentially use the power of Hylia to finally destroy demise, a goddess versus a god. And then Link, Zelda, and Ganon will be free from their not curses, well, curses for Ganon, but also their connections to the goddesses and the Triforce and these curses, where the hero and the descendant of Hylia always have to rise up against evil, and they free themselves finally. And the Zelda story then going into the future is able to expand itself, because it's not that I don't want it not tied to the Triforce and stuff like that. That's Zelda, right? But it frees itself from that story it's created of that constant background threat, where these characters now can go in their own directions in different ways. And I find that so appealing, which is why I done that story. But then just seeing this trailer and all these little things that they're showing, and then this new artwork, I just looking at that artwork again, he's standing there, like a warrior, like a king of the Gerudo, and I'm just like, man, this artwork doesn't make him look like a villain. Not completely like a villain. Compared to all the other artwork that we've had before, where he's, you look like the Wind Waker artwork and the Twilight Princess artwork, Ocarina of Time artwork, and he's grimacing. He looks angry. In this one, he looks resolute. Like a samurai warrior getting prepared, like a warlord. You're getting prepared for something. So exciting. I can't. I've got speechless now. This sequel. I can't believe we have Breath of the Wild, which, like I said, is now my most favorite game ever, and the fact that we're getting a sequel for it in the same generation and is building upon absolutely everything that Breath of the Wild set at its foundation. And from everything that we've seen, just with the world, the exploration, the new moves, the new combats, abilities, these towns all building back up, and how you might have like this giant. Imagine like having like not like that quest, Tarry Town. Imagine this was now Hyrule Town, and you're trying to get everyone to move to different locations, which is why you might see like that horse and carriage, and you're taking people to a new settlement that you might be taking them to Hyrule Town to get them to rebuild it, where you see those tents and stuff. But imagine like a massive quest, and that's some stuff people just didn't think about when they were talking about this overpriced DLC. You're not going to get the same quests in this game. There's going to be brand new NPCs, returning NPCs, brand new quests, and Nintendo aren't just going to just make this main storyline and that's it. There's going to be so much to it. But then you got the Sky Kingdom, and man, how exciting this is. This is peak Zelda for me. It's a accumulation of all the years of what Nintendo have tried to do for the series, to keep it open, to keep it engaging, memorable characters, great story. No matter what people say about the previous Zelda stories, they have all been absolutely intoxicating, fascinating, magical stories of these characters who you just fall in love with and set memorable memories for every generation that we pass through. You go to the N64, you think of Ocarina of Time and all the characters in there, Majora's Mask. Jump to the GameCube, you think of Wind Waker and all those characters. I played Twilight Princess on the Wii, so I think about those characters, and Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild. Yeah, man, good stuff. But yeah, I needed to just talk about Tears of the Kingdom, and especially the way they're going with this story. I do feel that we're going to have this battle between a goddess and a god, and then the princess, the hero, and the villain, who Ganon. Each of these people hold a part of the Triforce. And the Triforce at the end of the day are even different goddesses. Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm super excited to see this continuation of a Zelda story. Just this continuation of it moving through. Super excited for that. Super excited to see a potential Demise versus Ganon versus everyone battle. And just super excited for Tears of the Kingdom. Super excited. I completed recently Spiritfarer. Now I'm not even going to attempt to put time into any single game. I'm just going to go back to some retro games, play those, because I'm just gearing up for Tears of the Kingdom. What are your thoughts, people? Let me know below. Tell me your hype. Tell me your thoughts on my old video and the potential of this new story. What we've seen. And yeah, as always, thanks for listening. Take care all, and peace.